Alright, so the dot team is definitely still the go-to hyper-efficient comp for GB12. It's so easy to get this team, in fact, that new players are being encouraged to go for this one instead of building the starter team. And there's a good reason for that. It's because you can build it with all farmable units, assuming you're going the route with Veramos. And for today's How to Rune, we're going to be looking at the hinge point of that team, 2A Sath, the Fire Grim Reaper. If you're unfamiliar with what Sath does, his passive says that he's going to try to apply a dot every time he attacks somebody, and he also doubles dot damage. And that's a symmetrical effect, which means that it's going to affect your enemies as well as you, though let's be honest, it rarely comes into play that it affects you. So let's start at the place that makes the most sense, and that's Rune Sets. You have a couple options here. First is the sometimes more rewarding but substantially more dangerous Violent. That chance to proc gives you an additional chance to apply more dots to the Giant, the Steel Fortress boss, or whatever it is that's looking down the barrel of your loaded scythe. One way or another, it's gonna die faster. However, the safer way, and frankly, probably more accessible way to rune him is on double will. And double will, you ask? It's because one set of will actually not contribute anything to the team. You're always going to take a turn before the boss, so you're going to come out of one turn of immunity. The idea behind this method is to prevent that defense break from ever landing on your team, specifically the fire units. Because if Sath dies, then the whole team is going to go Awakened. Notably, you may not need will if you're running the comp that features Veramos as a leader, because he's there to cleanse what the will normally would prevent. As for your offset, shield is a go-to for bonus HP, though if you're running the comp with Lucian instead of Veramos, you may want to consider a set of fight runes. As far as stats go, we won't be needing the primary and secondary categorization that I normally use for these videos, because there's only a few that you need to be conscious of, and they are all very important. HP is the first one. He needs to be inexplicably tanky because he has a very low base HP and the boss in Giants hits really, really hard. If possible, I would aim for about 20k additional HP. And I know that sounds like a big number, but you just need to be somewhere in that window. I usually say 20k because that's enough to take a direct hit from the counterattack of the boss. So try to land as close to that as you can, but frankly, you have a little bit of wiggle room on either end. Next is accuracy. If you're not landing dots, then you're not contributing as much as you could to the team. So the accuracy you want to aim for is actually 55%. I believe that's the new break point. However, I usually tell people 60 just because, 5% extra never hurt anybody. And finally, there's speed. For maximum efficiency, you want Sath to move ahead of your Melias, and that's because Melia has a clause stapled onto her passive that says if she attacks somebody while dots are already present, she's going to try to apply another one. So you'll be getting more mileage out of your Melias if you can get him to move ahead of them. But let's be honest, it isn't the end of the world if you can't get him ahead of the Melias and get all these stat checks that we've talked about throughout this video. So with that in mind, I'd also consider runing him on HP accuracy on your 2, 4, 6 slots, and you can fill in for any missing HP or accuracy using artifacts. So there you go, guys. That was a closer look at Sath the Fire Grim Reaper. If you want to see how he fits into the team at large, then I highly recommend you scope out the other 2 videos that are on the channel on the dot team proper and some pitfalls that may cause your team to fail. If you guys have any personal experience with runing Sath or running the dot team and you want to share them in the comments, I'd love to read them, and I'm sure it would help a lot of people. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.